There's a few big mistakes you can make right at the start of Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines 2. So we're going to go over the best clan choice for each playstyle and how to unlock all the different clan abilities so you can become the ultimate vampire. Because you will need to pick your clan straight after the prologue and right at the start of the game. And so White Wolf and Paradox Interactive have sponsored me to give you a quick summary of each clan skill line and the different abilities and how they all are to play, because some clan abilities are definitely better than others. And don't forget that you can grab the game for yourself from the link below. In total, there are 6 clans to pick from, and each one has their own separate skill line and a passive that is exclusive to that clan. Now, it is possible to eventually unlock all of the other clans' abilities and perks through the clan trainers and with ability points, but they come at a massively inflated price compared to your own clan skill tree. I'll explain exactly how that works in more detail at the end of the video, because if you mess that up, you'll miss out on some very cool abilities early on. So definitely don't skip that part. But first, let's go over each of the clan's abilities and playstyles, starting out with the 3 easiest clans to play. The Brujah, the Learned clan, is perfect for people who hate stealth and instead just want to jump into melee combat and be the best at it. They deal the most damage in melee, while also having a bunch of abilities to control large crowds of enemies when they do get surrounded. They also get reduced ability cost for celerity, presence, and potence abilities. The Brujah have an exclusive clan passive called Brutality. After feeding, your melee attacks get a temporary boost in damage for a few seconds. So now if you engage, feed, and then jump into melee combat, you'll do even more damage. The Lightning Strike ability is like bullet time for your fists. You basically go into slow motion and highlight nearby enemies and then unleash a hail of punches on all the people you targeted, with the last one sending everyone flying. This even stacks with the Brutality perk after you feed as well. The next ability, Charge, lets you grab the first enemy you run into and then use them as a battering ram to knock down everybody else in your path, dealing some big damage. You can taunt nearby enemies or civilians into attacking you. Initially, I didn't think this sounded that good, but in the gameplay, it actually makes the extremely powerful elite targets drop their weapons so you can then pick them up using telekinesis and use them against them. And while those targets are taunted, they become enraged, which means they take even more damage. Earthshock lets you slam the ground and send all of the enemies around you flying. And in Vampire Masquerade, when you get surrounded, you die. That's like the worst thing that can happen. So having this ability lets you kill pretty much everyone around you apart from elite targets or vampires who will take a few more hits. The final perk we can unlock is Spark of Rage. So now killing enemies without feeding will still activate your clan passive. This is really easy to do and it turns you into an absolute melee monster who gets stronger with each kill. So overall, the Brujah skill line is one of the easiest to play and it can be extremely powerful with little effort from you. But carry on watching if you prefer stealthy gameplay. The Lasombra Knight clan is the ultimate stealth brawling hybrid. These guys are probably my favorite stealth gameplay playstyle overall in the game. They also get reduced ability costs for Dominate, Potience, and Oblivion abilities. They get the exclusive Shadow Cloak ability, which essentially casts you into shadow whenever you feed, making you really difficult to detect, almost invisible to other enemies around you. And if you use this in the right way, you can chain together feeding on multiple people and they won't see you until it's too late. Arms of Ahriman lets you strike with a thin shadow across the ground that traps enemies in place right in front of you until you go over to them and damage them. The Shadow Step ability lets you leap into your own shadow and teleport into the enemy shadow. So you basically come up behind them, which is perfect for a feeding takedown. Glimpse of Oblivion makes the targets flee for their lives away from their allies, even mid-combat, which is very useful if used on elite enemies just to keep them busy while you take out the weaker ones around them. while Enter Oblivion casts a huge shadow ahead of you that teleports yourself and the surrounding enemies into the Shadow Realm for a duel to the death. But the final perk is game-changing. Stygian Shroud will prevent mortals from attacking you while you feed. So you can now heal yourself even mid-combat without taking any damage. You will then get the Shadow Cloak so you can set up your next feeding victim if they can't see where you are. Once you have the full skill line here, you really are an absolute stealth gameplay monster. Overall, that is probably my favorite stealth build, though it doesn't have as much utility as Tremere, the Broken Clan. These guys are masters of blood sorcery. They have a much slower, stealthy playstyle that relies on setting people up for their demise. It's perfect if you're the kind of player who likes slow and tactical gameplay and picking off a few targets before engaging. They also get reduced ability costs for Dominate and blood sorcery abilities. The exclusive Tremere clan passive is Corrosive Touch. Now the bodies of anyone you feed on will dissolve into dust after you're done. This means that nobody will find them, which makes it easier to stealth around. However, this didn't really come up much with my personal playstyle, so I didn't find it that useful. The first skill lets you place a blood curse on enemies. So next time they take damage, they're gonna explode, killing nearby foes. And if you use this preemptively, you can then trigger it by throwing a projectile at the target from stealth to wipe out a large group of enemies. Then the recall skill lets you mark your current position, and then when you reuse that ability, you'll teleport all the way back to your mark. This is insanely useful to stealth kill enemies from the top of buildings and then just recall back to safety and do it again, especially when you want to feed on specific civilians who are out in the open without risking breaking the masquerade. The Cauldron of Blood lets you boil a person's blood from the inside, and their screens will then draw everybody around them. You can obviously combine this with the blood curse to blow them all up at once. And then probably one of the coolest looking abilities in the game is Blood Salvo. Conjure 4 blood daggers that can be thrown with telekinesis, easily taking down people from range. Then the final perk unlock is Blood of Potency. So now feeding is going to recharge an additional blood pip for a random ability use. If you didn't know, all of the abilities require a certain amount of blood pips to activate, and being able to regenerate these from feeding is very fun for gameplay. But in my opinion, one of the best clan options to pick if you want to be a jack of all trades, good at stealth and melee combat, is Ventrue, the Clan of Kings. What makes the Ventrue clan so strong is the Flesh of Marbles passive. So now when you feed on a foe, even mid-combat, your skin hardens, making you highly resistant to damage. And since feeding heals you as well, this is an extremely powerful combo. Whenever you're low on health, even mid-fight, just feed on someone and you just become extremely survivable and hard to kill. Because every other class in the game basically still takes damage if they feed mid-combat. This is why Ventrue is probably one of the easier classes to play in the game. They also get a reduced ability cost for Dominate and Presence abilities. Their first ability is Terminal Decree. You can now command mortals to delete themselves, while vampires and elites get disarmed and staggered, which is very useful in the late game. The fun really begins with Possession though, which lets you take control of enemies' movement and attack others to create chaos while you just remain in the shadows. Cloud Memory makes the target forget you were even there, putting them back into a relaxed state. This is perfect for when you get caught and you want to remain stealthy. Mass Manipulation lets you feel like a god. You can subdue all of the enemies that you can see in front of you, preventing them from attacking you, and then you can apply a Venture or Affect ability on them all at once, like getting them all to delete themselves. It feels very overpowered indeed. The final perk you can get is Resilience. This further increases the amount of health that you get back when you feed on somebody. Obviously this stacks with your marble skin to make you almost invincible while getting even more health back at the same time. Overall, the Ventrue clan is the easiest to play and probably the most survivable of all the classes in Bloodlines 2. It also lets you experiment with all the different gameplay styles, which I had a lot of fun with. Next though, we're going to move on to some of the more difficult clan playstyles to play. The Banu Haqim are the clan of the hunt. They're perfect for fast, stealthy, close quarters combat playstyle. Very satisfying to play, but harder to pull off if you don't have good timing. And they get reduced ability costs for Celerity, Blood Sorcery, and Obfuscate. Their exclusive passive, Silence of Death, makes all your actions entirely silent for a limited time after feeding, so perfect for additional stealth takedown sequences, since you can feed, dash, run, and then feed again. The Bladed Hand ability lets you instantly cap weaker enemies, which is great if somebody does spot you. You can easily dispatch them in a moment. Or Split Second slows down time, which lets you flee or flank and instantly take down your aggressor from behind. Mute can be used to silence a single enemy so nobody can hear them scream or even their gunfire, and that easily gives you enough time to dispatch them in combat 1v1. The Master ability is Unseen Aura, which lets you become completely invisible to enemies and civilians, so you can easily take them down one by one, but do be warned because they can still hear you, which just ends up being pretty funny if anything. Finally, we have the Unseen Passage perk. This lets you sprint while crouched for the fastest stealth movement in the game. If you're playing a stealthy character, even on one of the other clans, I would recommend prioritizing getting this perk because it just makes the stealth gameplay even more efficient. Next, we have the Toreador, the clan of divas. These guys combine fast brawling with crowd control. Compared to the Brujah clan, which is all about doing the extra melee damage, Toreador is about avoiding it and repositioning during fights. So it's pretty fun, but it's hard to play. They get reduced ability cost for Celerity and Presence abilities. And the exclusive Cat Grace passive lets you move faster after feeding, which basically lets you get in, feed, and then get out very quickly to set up your next attack. The Entrancing Kiss can be used on foes to turn them into an ally that will then defend you from others. And the weaker the will of the target, the longer they're going to become entranced. Usually it can be used on elite enemies as well, and they are great for distracting and killing all of the enemies around them. The Blink ability lets you slow down time and then teleport away wherever you can see in the distance. It's great for evading combat or just sneaking around before combat. You can also beckon victims into a trance, which makes them slowly walk towards where they last saw you. This can be great for getting a few civilians in a great spot to harvest their blood. The Mastery Blurred Momentum actually boosts your reflexes, allowing you to completely evade all damaged attacks, pretty much making you temporarily invulnerable to damage. Finally, we have the perk Fleetness, which makes your relocate abilities recharge over time, which makes you a lot more survivable. Now, as I said earlier, whatever clan you decide on playing, their whole skill line is going to be very cheap to purchase with your ability points. And you get those ability points by leveling up, by doing the main quest and also side quests. But how can you unlock all of the abilities from the other clans that you didn't choose? In this example, I am playing as the Brujah clan, and I can buy all of my clan abilities for just a few ability points. So you can max it out in just a few hours of gameplay. However, if you want to unlock the abilities and perks from the other clan skill trees, it's going to cost between 6 to 12 ability points each to unlock, unless your clan has an affinity for those ability types and get Celerity, Presence, or Potence abilities for a reduced cost. So instead of paying 10 ability points, those only cost me 5. But before you can purchase other clan abilities, you must first unlock them through clan trainers. Now, these trainers are located all over the world of Bloodlines 2, and they'll pop up after the first boss fight, which is a few hours into the main storyline. And all of these clans are highlighted on the map, and once you reach their haven, you can just go inside and talk to them, and then ask them to train you in their clan skill line. This opens up a new menu where you can select the ability that you want to unlock with training. But to actually unlock, you'll need Blood Resonance. this currency just here, which is split into pink, red, and blue. These actually represent different emotions. So you've got pink for aroused, blue for afraid, and red for angry. The easiest way to farm blood resonance is from NPCs scattered across the map, indicated by these pink, red, and blue icons. Depending what blood resonance you need, head to the location and find the NPC, but before you feed on them, make sure that nobody's around, because if you get spotted, you can break the masquerade. Now, the longer you feed on them, the more blood resonance you're going to farm from them. A complete feed gives you 100 resonance points, but if somebody sees you, the masquerade meter will start going from green into yellow, indicating that people are suspicious, and then red, which creates panic, causing mortals to flee or even attack you. And if the red meter fills fully, the court will then appear out of nowhere and stake you from behind, which actually terrified me the first time that happened. So if you do get spotted while feeding in the yellow zone, I'd recommend cancelling it and fleeing up the pipes onto the safety of the rooftops. It is useful to have a nearby alleyway or an exit strategy planned before you feed. You can also use the vampire sight, which highlights all of the rooftop access pipes in yellow to make your escape really easy. But you don't actually need to go around the map looking for these little icons to find NPCs' blood resonance to feed on. Alternatively, by using the vampire sensors, you can find highlighted NPCs in different states of emotion, and they will appear in red, pink, and blue. And all of these NPCs can be talked to and interacted with. You want to make the red ones angry, and then they will chase you and try and fight you. So if you run into a nearby alleyway where nobody can see you, you can then feed on them to drain them of their blood resonance. You'll need to say something scary to the blue ones to make them run, and then feast on them when they run out of sight into the shadows or down a dark alleyway where you won't get spotted. Finally, you can tell the pink ones that you're up for a good time, and they will willingly then follow you, and you can lead them into an alleyway or a dark corner where you'll be able to strike. Once you've unlocked that clan ability, you'll then need to spend your ability points to actually use it. And you will also need to swap out one of your other abilities, since you can only have 4 abilities active at once. However, to unlock the clan's perk at the very top of the skill tree, you will need to unlock all of the other clan abilities first, which will take quite a long time. As for the clan passives, like I said at the start of the video, they are exclusive to each clan. That's why your choice at the start of the game is so important. Unlocking those different clan abilities also unlocks the different clan outfits, and NPCs will react differently based on whichever clan outfit you're wearing, which can make the different blood resonances easier to farm. But if you want more tips and tricks on playing Vampire the Masquerade, check out this next video for several mistakes you definitely don't want to make on your playthrough. That is a spoiler-free video, we're just going over tips and tricks. I'll link it down below in the description, and don't forget you can grab the game for yourself from the link below.